last time on Oz Hour?
Okay, so last time on Oz Hour, the Gnome King is back, and he is wanting his belt back. He is not happy about it, so he gets all his little minions, the Calico Dude, the generals, to come up with a plan to get it. Now we're going to Dorothy, who's down in Kansas, having several mortgages, learning that she is now poor, the poor little baby. And she's like, let's go back to Oz. I'm going to actually use that belt power for once in my goddamn life to go back to Oz. And she does. And then begs Ozma, saying, please, we need to get my family here. We need to take care of them. Please, can I bring them to Oz so they can be rich too? Blah, 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 blah. And she's like, yeah, sure, whatever. I literally don't care. Bring him here. It's totally fine. And then we go back to the Gnome King, actually. And he is like, I actually don't like what that other general did, so I threw him away. And we got a new general who's like, ha ha ha, I have an excellent plan. General Guff, he's like, I'm going to get all the villains, gather them all, and we're going to collect the belts, the wand, everything powerful in Oz. And that is how we end it. Thank you. Good night.
Hi there, and welcome to Oz Hour, the only place where you can hear everything you never knew about the wonderful and strange land of Oz.
That's right. With the help of some alcohol, we will be discussing each of the 14 books in L. Frank Baum's Wizard of Oz series.
Today, we will be continuing with Book 6, The Emerald City of Oz, covering chapters 5 through 8.
We are your hosts, Blake Stone
And Wyatt Swingham.
and joining us as always is our resident Oz initiate, Hannah Aguirre.
Icky for twang.
What is that,
What is
though?
Charlie and I recently watched Monty Python and the Holy Grail, and they say that.
Oh, I think we started that. Or no, we started Life of Brian.
Yeah.
And we were like, we have to go to bed.
That's pretty insane. No,
But now that's a call to action for all of us to watch Monty Python's Holy Grail.
it's pretty fucking funny. I will say that.
I'm not surprised by that.
Well.
Even Life of Brian, we saw before we fell
No,
asleep.
it was
good.
funny.
It was
I
really
should.
good.
It sounded like a criticism. We said we have to go to bed because it was 10:30 on a school night.
because why did we start that movie?
Yeah.
Yeah,
It was long.
understandable.
But Hannah, you just recapped our last chapters when you played last time on. It took I didn't write it down. How long did that take?
That was 1 minute and 27 seconds.
Okay, so a little
Long.
bit over time, but
Longer.
actually, Hannah, you were quite thorough. The only note I have for you is good job on finding General Guff's name. Wyatt, any notes?
My secondary note to that would be, how in the world can they get to the land of Oz, given the deadly
Ooh,
desert
quite
lies
important,
between...
quite
I
important.
do remember, actually.
Tell us.
Under
Yep,
under
they're
the
going
desert.
Because
Under.
only the earth on the top, I guess, is deadly. For some reason, the stone and sand underneath isn't deadly. But yes,
It's not the same
that's right.
sand.
It's
It's
well, I mean,
different
that's
sand.
true. That's true.
Safer
So yes,
sand.
that would be not even that important, really, but it will be important as we get into the rest of the book. So yeah, that's their plan. Other than
Yeah.
that, though, yeah, very long and omitted an important detail. So that's my
very,
summary.
very nice visiting with you, Hannah. If you'll sit back a moment, I would like to invite Wyatt to tell us about the cocktail he's prepared for us this evening.
So this evening, we are going to be drinking a simple, sweet, and true, the meaning of which will be clear later. It is a play on a old-fashioned. It will be a little sweeter than an old-fashioned and a little more orange.
I do love
not-
a little sweeter.
I will say, not sweet enough for some in the room.
Oh no. That's
It
me.
will be interesting.
I
So-
just sniffed it and gagged.
No, stop. I already feel like
Was that real? Producer Charlie is gagging in the corner. Here we go.
You can find the recipe on Oz Hour Podcast at Instagram. Cheers.
Tastes like hand soap. I like
it.
take it.
Chapter 5. How Dorothy Became a Princess.
Okay, so the
History
people-
lesson. It's a history lesson to start.
Ooh. Okay, I think I probably have that. So, I mean, because of course it begins with the people of the Emerald City hear that Dorothy's back, and they're very excited to see her.
Everyone loves Dorothy. We
Yeah.
all know that. It's nothing
Mhm.
crazy.
Like, she's super popular, she's super well loved, and from time to time, people from outside of Oz, people from the outside world, visit Oz.
Yeah. History begins. Now we're starting the history lesson. The
Every-
preamble is everyone loves Dorothy, and then it's just history.
Every single time someone from the real world, I mean, I say real world because I live in America. Aussians would probably say outside world. Every time someone visits from the outside world, they have either come with Dorothy or they have been the Wizard of Oz.
No one else has
Interesting.
ever
Yeah.
ventured in, which
That's
is
true.
interesting. And the only of those people who have been brought to Oz, which I mean,
Does
there's
this make Oz more of a reliable source or a not reliable source?
I don't know.
Yeah, I guess it's not really a for sure answer, but it's like only 2 goddamn people outside of Oz have been to Oz.
But there's also the Shaggy Man who lives there
Oh,
now.
that's true.
Bellina lives there now too. And what's Dorothy's cousin's name? Jeb. Jeb visited.
Jeb, that's right.
I mean,
Who
Dorothy's
else?
brought Toto and everyone.
Oh yeah,
you
Santa
named
Claus has
and-
been there.
but
but-
like,
It's
but-
just
oh,
only-
okay, actually. Well, oh no, because Santa's from a fairyland, and so were all those guests
Yeah,
as
it's like
well.
is Santa technically
Yeah.
So
real?
the outside world being non-fairyland,
Yeah.
they've all come either with Dorothy or
Yeah.
were the wizards. Okay,
Exactly,
That
yeah.
makes
So
sense. that
Why
makes
is
sense.
she so goddamn special? Next question.
Well,
Well-
Dorothy?
yeah.
Well, I don't know why it's happening to her, but if you think about it, it's like the Shaggy Man came with her. Now he's the governor of the royal storehouses.
Yeah, can you believe that?
We put a
Wow.
thief
Yeah.
in charge of the storehouses.
Well, he knows how a thief thinks.
Fair.
That's a good point, honestly.
And then Bellina, she stayed. She's got a house in the back gardens, and she is raising her very large family.
Yeah,
All
she's got
Dorothy's.
all sorts of. You'll find out.
Got
But-
more than Dorothy's now.
Overall, the people of Oz are just like they think Dorothy's like good luck. They're like, oh, like she brought. Let's see. She killed 2 witches. She awakened the Scarecrow, who was king of the Emerald City, and then
Yeah.
also is super popular still.
Mhm.
She fucking rescued the Tin Woodman, who's now the
Say
emperor.
his name.
She rescued Nick Chopper, who is the emperor of the Winkies, and like she's just done so much. So they're
Of
like, yeah,
course,
and
they're gonna
everything
think
there,
she's good
yeah,
luck.
everything. There's been. It seems like there's been so many changes in like this city, and it's
Yeah.
all mainly been because of Dorothy,
Yeah.
or even like the wizard and stuff.
Yeah,
Like,
and they
you
love the
know.
wizard too.
Like
Yeah.
the last couple of books, L. Frank Baum has been kind of shoving down our throats that like, fucking Oz is this perfect utopia, and I think none of that could exist without Dorothy having been there.
No,
I'd agree. Yeah.
Dorothy is a historical event.
Yeah.
Like that's it.
And he
Like-
says that, like, of course, people think she's good luck, but believe it or not, Dorothy could not accomplish these things because she's a magic fairy or she's got, I don't know, sorcerer powers.
Yeah, it's not magic.
But
It's not magic. She is just simple, sweet, and true, which is the name of our cocktail.
Cute.
But that's it. That's true. It honestly it made me like vaguely emotional for some reason. I was like, it is true. And he says like
It's also very much giving me the like trope, like the Narnia trope of like these 4 kids that are able to travel into Narnia and they become king and queen and
yeah. But all that to say, Dorothy was joyfully welcomed to the Emerald City. Everyone loves her. But no one knew that Dorothy was planning to stay. They're like, oh my
Yeah.
God, Dorothy. But they don't know. Only Ozma knows, like, hey, she's here for good and her family's coming at this point. At this point.
So Dorothy's greeted by all her old friends at the Musicer.
The musicer?
No, I'm
Oh
just
my
kidding.
God. I was like, how
I got
does-
you.
Sorry,
I was trying to get her.
I was like, my first note was not the musicer, and I was like, how the fuck did he get to Oz? He's on a
No.
watch list.
No, he's
It's
dead.
like no one likes the music.
He's dead too.
No,
Honestly.
yeah.
Well,
only
Someone
Button Bright.
actually probably murdered him after they heard about him.
Probably.
Yeah.
Someone just came up. Well, and then that person was sentenced to death because you can't murder him.
No,
Oh,
yeah, that's
that's
the only
right.
way you can die.
But she is greeted by TikTok, the Shaggy Man, Jack Pumpkinhead, Cowardly Lion, Professor H.M. Wogglebug T.E., who, frankly, is not a friend of Dorothy's. The Wogglebug and Dorothy are not friends. They've never
No.
been friends. The Wogglebug always turns up at like random moments where there's a lot of guests,
Yeah.
and they don't talk. They're not friends.
H.M. Wogglebug.
So they're just kind of like somewhat in the same circle.
They
a little
are.
bit.
The Wogglebug is Tip's friend.
However, for some reason, in this situation, we get this elongated explanation of the Wogglebug. I think because he's not one of Dorothy's friends. He's just this guy. Because it's like, oh, he's a remarkable creature. Like, and I hope you all wanted to hear all about him because he was real tiny. Then he got magnified and he walked off the screen. So we get and then we get the history. And we also
That's
learn
interesting. We don't get descriptions of anyone else.
No.
And you're right. I think it's because the Wogglebug is here so infrequently.
However, the secondary thought on that is that also it says he's dressed like a dandy and he's very intelligent, but
Little
he has been he has been appointed as the professor and head of the Royal College. So he's also the only person who's taken on a new like thing. I mean, we got called out the Shaggy Man. He's the governor of the storehouses, sure. But like, I don't know. I'm just like, okay,
Yeah.
not one of Dorothy's friends, but also something different for him is that he's now the head of the Royal College. That's different.
Yeah, he seems like he's had a different job in every book, and
I
I
agree with
really
that.
don't have my receipts in front of me, but it seems like he's always working with adolescents and always
Yeah.
bettering them. So
I
good
swear it
for
was
him,
the
I guess.
College of Athletics before.
He's
but
busy.
yeah.
Yeah, it was a College of Athletics. But Dorothy visits with her friends. She has a nice long talk with the wizard, who we're told is little and old and withered and dried up.
And merry and active.
But
The wizard,
Yeah.
and he's
he's He's like on the brink of death.
does he
apparently.
have his pigs?
The pig's not mentioned.
Oh, they're not mentioned.
Pig's not mentioned.
They may all be dead.
But after
No, I
They
mean,
might.
if he's
No.
withered.
I mean,
Yeah,
how-
exactly.
How long do you think a tiny little pig lives? You know, I mean, they're the size of
Oh, their little
mice.
hearts are just beaten. They're not even real hearts.
They're not even real hearts.
They don't last that long.
No.
But after chit-chatting for a little while, Dorothy goes into the garden. She visits with Bellina and her fast-growing family of chicks.
Many
So-
chicks.
I guess no one eats the eggs anymore. Bellina used to be insulted.
Is everyone
that-
vegetarian?
Bellina used to be
Yeah.
like pissed off when people didn't eat the eggs. Now she's kind of like, don't eat my eggs.
Like these are my
Yeah.
children.
Yeah.
And we're
She
kind of gonna get
loves-
there
She's
later
mother.
too.
She's very into child rearing. She is
Okay.
mother.
She is mother.
Also, Toto's really happy to see everyone, and I'm wondering, did I forget
nope.
that Toto was there?
Well, so when she went upstairs, I think she held Toto in her arms as she was waiting to be
Okay.
transported. But he hasn't been mentioned for sure for a
like,
long time.
She visited
I
with
mean,
Ozma last week, and we didn't hear anything about Toto being there.
yeah.
So when it said, "Oh, Toto was excited to see everyone too," I was like, "What the fuck?"
Well, that was literally just yesterday that he was there. They
True.
arrived yesterday, but I agree he wasn't highlighted. But in case you were wondering, he is a special friend of the Shaggy Man. I didn't think that was true.
But he spent a lot of time in his pocket, so I mean,
I guess
Oh,
so. That's what I
guess
thought.
that's true.
Um,
I
As a-
don't know if that is like a bonding moment.
Yeah, that was a kidnap
Toto
moment.
thought it was.
Yeah, it's definitely it's giving Stockholm syndrome.
Yes.
But honestly, being the only dog in Oz, Toto is widely regarded and respected. As
Also-
are all animals in Oz.
Isn't that crazy? He's the only dog in Oz. Bellina's the only chicken, and Toto's the only dog.
We did.
There's no
learn
horses
that-
either. There's no horses. Jim was the only horse
yeah,
except for the
that's
sawhorse.
Oh yeah,
What animals are there in Oz?
the Cordelias.
Oh my! Shut up.
There's no chickens in Oz, but the gnomes are allergic to eggs. So what's laying eggs in Ev?
I guess there's other birds.
Oh.
Dinosaurs?
Dinosaurs.
Just other birds.
The
I
meteor
guess.
didn't get them.
Yeah,
But,
not in Oz.
Then we get a description of Dorothy's apartment with its beautiful sitting room, dressing room, bedchamber, and big marble bathroom. And we
Luxury.
learn luxury law. And we learn we learn that the dressmakers of Oz keep Dorothy's closets full of beautiful gowns, which is why she didn't bring her calico and gingham dresses with
Yeah,
her.
remember when she was like, I
Or-
guess I won't need those. And it's, yeah, her wardrobe is stocked. Ozma has planned everything. She planned all of Dorothy's rooms. She planned all of her dresses. And Dorothy loves all of this. This is like, we get a moment where it's like, yeah, Dorothy always wanted to go home because she loved like her aunt and uncle, but like, she would have preferred to be here. Like,
Yeah.
obviously, it's
If
it's
Aunt
amazing.
Em and Uncle Henry were not in the picture,
yeah.
there would have been strictly we're in Oz and we're not going anywhere
Absolutely.
Yeah,
And it
no
literally
question.
says the only reason she ever wanted to return to Kansas was because Aunt Em and Uncle Henry were there and they needed her. Which, like, I'm sorry, but in every single book, Dorothy's never happy to be where she is, and she's always like, "Please send me home. I want to go home. I don't want to
And
be here. I
you're
want to go
not
home."
there.
And she's not there. But okay, so here's the thing: Aunt Em and Uncle Henry, we learn, are poor in this book. Just because she thought that they were well off or doing fine or living normal or whatever, why would she think they wouldn't be more happy in the City of Emeralds? She
That's
should have
true.
invited
It
them
is
to come
kinda
live there
crazy.
ages ago.
I said
Yeah.
before, even if my family, I think, obviously last episode, if my family was extremely wealthy, I would have brought home 2 emeralds. Like, I would have been like, hey, give me a handful of emeralds. You got a ton of them. I'm going to take it
exactly.
home.
It's like bring the emeralds home so you can live in the plains of Kansas, or bring Aunt Em and Uncle Henry
That's true.
to the Emerald City
I think
and just live it up.
personally, I mean, if it was like my uncle and aunt who are just like, they don't know what the fuck's going on, I'm going to bring you guys stuff back so you can stay, live your regular life. But now you have money and you don't have to work
Yeah.
anymore.
I will visit you guys twice a month.
Yeah.
See you
Exactly,
later.
yeah.
I'm safe.
Yeah.
Promise.
But also, if I'm going to take you to Oz, then yeah, same thing. It's like you guys are just going to fucking chill on some farm that I'm going to make for you. 'Cause guess what, bitch? I'm princess.
Yeah.
Exactly. I'm the princess of Oz. Well, honestly, like, she's so excited for Aunt Em and Uncle Henry to come experience the luxuries of this place. And so the next morning, Dorothy puts on a sky blue dress
Well-
embossed with pearls and shoes with pearl buckles and a tiara covered in pearls. This is camp. This is drag.
Yeah, there's pearl
She's
fringe.
serving looks.
There's pearl makeup. But the thing that I want to emphasize here is that Dorothy didn't put any of that on.
She was instructed.
Ozma said, hey, here's what I want you to wear. Dorothy is Ozma's doll now.
Okay.
No, well, here's the thing.
Ozma.
However,
Ozma's been pretty controlling so far in this
She has
book,
been.
and
Yeah.
will kind of continue to be so. But Ozma told Dorothy, "Hey, you are here as a princess. You are here as an ambassador. Like, you need to dress for your rank."
It's giving
I guess
Princess Diaries.
it just yeah.
Yeah,
And
seriously.
honestly, it just like turns out that Dorothy was sent away to have a job anyway. So it's like should have just stayed in America.
yeah.
But honestly, though, that I think that's an important
I'd
thing to
rather be a
emphasize.
princess though, if I had to choose.
Yes.
Yeah, between poor farm girl
Sorry.
who has to go
Yeah,
work
Ozma
for a
dressed
lady.
me up.
Between tutor to some like rich kids in New York City or
Yeah, princess of a fairy country.
Yeah.
But yeah, so she's loving it and she's fine with it. She's like, yeah, like I don't care being dressed up in this stuff. Like Ozma's happy and Dorothy just wears her little dress. She's all in pearl. It's cool. But she's like, but in my heart, I'm still a country girl. Like,
You can-
she's
Hey,
simple.
I'm a redneck woman, ain't no high class broad.
I don't know the words. They go to eat breakfast though. They go to eat breakfast.
In Ozma's boudoir.
Yes, it is just right there. And also, I'm like, okay, what the fuck? They're eating breakfast. Dorothy's already wearing her sky blue, pearl fringed, pearl hat, pearl buckle.
She woke up in the morning feeling like P. Diddy.
I guess, yeah, and that's what I forget. Wake up in the morning, put my glasses on with my pearls, with my pearl necklace, with my pearl dress, with, my pearl shoes.
buckles.
Yeah, and then I'm gonna hit this city, and that's what she did.
There you go.
So she hit the city, and I'm like, oh my god, you're gonna drop some jam on your opulent like fucking croissant onto your blue dress,
No,
and
there's
then
no
what?
there's no room for those kinds of errors because when they finish eating, Ozma's like, "Time to bring Emily and Henry here," and Dorothy's like, oh, shit.
So that's happening now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ozma's like, all right, let's get the belt. Let's get the belt. We're gonna go.
And Ozma's like, let's go to the throne room. I think
It's
it's
just
a little.
gonna teleport them.
Yeah, she's just gonna
Yeah.
teleport them unannounced.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
no,
Dorothy-
no, you're not gonna do that to my parents.
Yeah, Dorothy really,
No.
really wanted. You're about to have some trauma here.
Yeah.
Because Dorothy really wanted to go back to Kansas to the farmhouse and say, "Hey, here's what's gonna happen."
Give 'em a
okay,
heads up.
ready?
That's what
Uh,
she said. Yeah.
But Ozma's like, "Nope, we're doing it now. We're gonna go to the throne room. It's a distinguished place."
Ozma,
And
Ozma,
Dorothy's like,
Ozma.
"Hey, they're not very distinguished, Ozma. They're just plain people like me." And Ozma's like, "Being your relatives, they are distinguished.
Yeah.
You're a princess."
Ozma's like,
That
yeah.
doesn't mean anything though in Kansas.
It doesn't.
Dorothy
Yeah,
starts-
it's a fairy country.
Dorothy's putting up a fight.
She starts to panic.
She's
is
like,
my note.
she's
I
like,
would
no.
feel that
she's
way
like,
too. I'd be scared of them having a heart attack.
Yeah, she's like, they won't know what to do with your beautiful furniture. It might scare them. And my thought was
Okay,
like,
that's
the
kind
furniture might
Yeah, that's
scare
not. I
Okay.
think the
You might
teleporting.
Okay, you say that, but Ozma has a solid gold throne with enough emeralds on it to buy the entire world. So the furniture
That's the
actually
scariest
is a little
part, though.
overwhelming. I think so.
a gold chair is scary.
See, if I got teleported to a place with a bunch of gold, I would be like, oh, grateful. It's the teleportation part that would get me
Yeah.
in a little bit of a, oh.
So-
Dorothy's trying to negotiate.
But she can't.
Yeah, I mean,
She
she's
doesn't.
just like, hey, how about like the back gardens with the chickens and the cabbage? They might be more comfortable there. Ozma is
teleport
like,
him somewhere poor.
Ozma,
Yeah.
yeah, right. Ozma's like, no, actually, the first time they see me, I'm gonna be in my throne. Capiche?
Yeah. And Dorothy's like, okay, you know what?
Okay,
Like,
Ozma.
Dorothy's like, I can't argue with Ozma. She's accustomed to getting what she wants, and
Yeah.
also she is the queen who is letting my family come live here with me, and also me live here. So like,
This is
It
such
actually
a
doesn't
crazy
matter.
crossover.
it
like,
It's
is
so
so
weird.
strange.
this is wild.
So they go to this huge the throne room. It's this huge domed room. It's like goes super high. The throne is solid gold and has enough gemstones to stock an entire jewelry store. And that's it.
Ozma is wearing the magic belt. She sits down in her throne, and Dorothy sits at her feet like a dog.
Yeah. Oh, actually, I do want to. That is also actually my literal verbatim note. Because in the book, it was like sits at her feet, and I was like, does she curl up on the mat?
Yeah, she's
like,
like-
what
she's
the
like,
hell?
Ew. Oh, ew. That's her like little wimpy.
That's when she
Dog
goes
noise.
down.
Oh, got it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. But also,
Ew.
this room, the throne room, is full of people in extravagant dress. They're all wearing suits and gowns. So it's like there's a crowd there. It's her subjects or courtiers.
Yeah.
And
then-
also, there are electric fountains shooting perfumed water from the ground
Okay,
all the way up to the domed ceiling.
I highlighted the word electric in red.
Mine's
Yeah,
in
what
all
does-
caps.
Electric? Dorothy doesn't have electricity in her house.
Yeah.
And what does it mean? Oh, electric fountain?
Electric.
I
they
think it means that
figured
the-
out electricity in the Emerald City.
So, like, for instance, like a fountain in a Roman city in, prehistory, that would have been like gravity fed, right? Like, it would have been a fountain that was fed by a gravity thing and it would do that. So, electric, I think, distinguishes that there's probably an electrical air pump running it or something,
Okay.
which increases the power. You don't have to have water above falling below to make it happen. Whatever the water is getting pushed up through with a pump. But what it means is it's like an extreme fountain. It's
Yeah,
like
it's
higher
huge.
than
It's-
anyone's ever seen. Yeah.
Importantly, also, the Cowardly Lion and the Hungry Tiger are lying at either side of the throne.
Yeah. So that'll be a warm welcome.
So
for
Ozma
for
is
that.
like, "Hey, Dorothy, you ready?" And Dorothy's like, "Yeah, I am, but my aunt and uncle probably aren't." And Ozma's like, "Oh, well, you know what? We're about to give them really good life, aren't we? Okay, here they come."
That's it. So in this moment, in the throne room,
As she says, "Here they come."
yeah, when she says "come," they appear. Aunt Em and Uncle Henry are appeared.
They stand motionless. They're caught off guard. Aunt Em is in a calico skirt She's wearing a faded blue checkered apron and a pair of Henry's old slippers. Her
It-
hair's a mess.
Her husband's old slippers. She is wearing just like a house dress with an apron and,
and like
her
a,
husband's
And
a
they-
slippers.
size 12
And they
boot.
throw
Yeah.
her up in front of all these
And
people. the
she-
poor
her hair is a
woman.
mess.
Her hair's a
too.
mess. She
And
was,
you know,
at, she was
you
just
can't
at
do
home.
that to a
But
woman.
you might be asking.
Can't.
You might be asking, well, what's in her hands at least? Like, are her hands empty? They're not empty.
What are they filled with?
There's a filthy gray rag in one of them, and then the chipped earthenware old plate in the other that she was
She
washing.
was washing dishes and then got, bloop, I'm in a throne room.
Yeah.
It's just so inconsiderate.
It's so inconsiderate.
is.
And Dorothy said, I would like to go
Yeah.
home and
we
tell
gotta
them.
give him a heads
And
up.
I
They
don't
don't know
like-
what's going
Ozma
on.
is apparently such this loving, understanding friend. I don't understand why she wasn't like, okay, yeah, do that.
It's
Alfred
literally
Baum
so
just,
easy.
yeah.
You
Alfred
have a
Baum-
magic belt that can let
Yeah.
you do anything.
Alfred Baum just didn't want to write that part. So then Henry, he was out in the barn doing chores when he was transported. So he's wearing like this like sweat stained, ratty old like straw hat
Mhm.
and overalls.
And he's wearing this like no collar shirt. It's like a t-shirt
Like a
basically.
Henley.
Yeah, exactly. It's like a Henley shirt that is like obviously super informal. It's stained. His overall or his coveralls, no, they're overalls, are like tucked into these cowhide boots. Like he looks like shit too, and he's been doing chores, so he's just like he just looks like shit.
Uncle Henry says,
And in the middle of doing chores, like
Yeah,
let
he's
me
not in his good
finish.
luck.
Oh,
Yeah, those.
I know I'm leaving the place.
What
but
happens to the
goddamn, I-
animals?
Yeah.
Do they all just
Oh my
die?
God.
they better have a friend. I didn't
Ozma
think
can do
about that.
magic, so all she has to do is use the belt
Bring 'em.
and make those chickens into people, and then she'll be
Oh my
fine.
Fair enough.
Yep, that's it.
Just like the fairy godmother in Cinderella.
So those chickens would be turned into people and just wandering around Kansas.
They'll
Yeah.
know. They'll know what to do.
They're gonna walk into
Um,
all the buildings and just be like, and that's it.
And they're like, oh, arrest that man.
Yeah.
But honestly, moving on, Uncle Henry says, by gum. And Aunt Em says, well, I swan.
Did you look that up?
No, did you?
I did not. It means nothing to me.
I assumed it meant like, I swear, or something
Yeah.
like that.
What was it? Aswan?
I swan.
I swan.
I
I
swan.
space SWAN.
I'm gonna start saying that.
I
At
am
work,
too,
yeah,
actually.
you better.
By gum.
Oh my god,
I
Aswan.
swan. I never.
But they are
Um,
frightened, and they look around. They're like, "What the fuck?" And they see Dorothy, and Aunt Em is like, "Don't that look like our little girl, Henry? Our Dorothy?"
Henry takes a closer look at Dorothy. While doing that, notices a huge tiger and lion on either side of the throne. And he goes, hey, look out, Em. Take care of those wild beasts, or you're a goner. This is exactly how L. Frank Baum wrote
Yeah.
It's how it's
them.
spelled out
And what I'm
because I
gonna
know
say-
that Dorothy sometimes talks like that too.
Yeah, she's like,
Worse.
I ain't scourged. I just fine.
so
see."
it does run in the
So,
family.
Yeah, it run. Oh, we will learn about a couple of things that run in the
Okay.
family, actually, as it pertains to the line.
I'm glad we're getting the Dorothy lore on this book.
Yes, I know. I'm
Yeah,
like,
it's
her
giving
dead
Dorothy
mother was a dreamer.
Dead mother.
Yeah.
You may say her dead mother's a dreamer, but
Yeah.
she's not the only one. Thank you. So Dorothy runs up. She hugs them. She kisses them. She's like, "Don't be afraid. Fear not." But she tells them that Ozma's brought them here to live in the land of Oz, and they will never struggle. They'll never want for anything ever again. And she takes them over to Ozma, and she's like, "Hey, here's my aunt and uncle. They want to say thank you."
And Aunt Em is just like, she's like, patooey. She's like spitting on her hands, trying to slick it back. She's like, oh my
Doing
fucking
something.
God.
She's
Like,
I was not ready for this. My
Yeah.
hair's a
Ugh.
mess.
she's doing a little, she's like hiding the rag and the bowl like under her apron, and she's like bowing. Henry is just like, he takes off his hat, and then he's like, my fucking hair, I'm doing chores. He's in a bad place. And Ozma rises and she walks up and greets them as if they were a king and queen.
Hmm.
Ozma's like, "You're here for us.
Love
Like,
her.
you're the family. You're with us. Like,
No
I
matter
welcome
what.
you.
Yeah.
You're
She's like,
everything."
Hey, you live here now. This place belongs to you as much as it belongs to me. I hope you'll enjoy your new home.
And she turns to like all the people in the room and she's
This
like, "Hey,
this is beautiful.
yeah." She's like, "This is Dorothy's family. You're gonna honor them and respect them and treat them like you would me. And now you all bow." And then they all bowed.
And they all bow, and Aunt Em and Uncle Henry are just like kind of like nodding their heads, like,
Mhm.
"Th- thank you,
Thank you. Yeah.
They're so uncomfortable, understandably.
Yeah.
But like it's
Yeah.
also kind of adorable. I don't want to like laugh at their expense, but like it's kind of adorable.
I'm glad they're not upset.
Well, then I mean,
So Ozma tells Dorothy, "Hey, show your aunt and uncle to their rooms, and then join me later for lunch." We know how this goes.
Yeah.
yeah,
It's,
it's gonna be luncheon.
meet,
We all know
get-
that.
Go to your room, get changed, come to lunch. That's how it
Mhm.
always
Get
is.
dolled up. We're
Um,
gonna eat.
So once Dorothy gets them alone in the hallway, Aunt Em like squeezes Dorothy's hand, and she's like, "How did we get here so quickly? Is this real? Are we gonna live here like that woman said? What's this all mean, anyhow?"
Yeah.
Instead of
Understandable.
instead of answering any of her questions, Dorothy just laughs.
yeah. And Henry is like,
No.
he's just like, "Dorothy, why didn't you tell us about this plan? Like, I would have put on my Sunday clothes. Like,
He's
I would have been
embarrassed.
waiting quietly." And Dorothy's like, "Hey, I'm gonna explain all of this to you guys. Like, and we know that this was her idea was to
Go
would have
back
been
and tell
to
them.
do all of that. Like,
Yeah.
like all these problems would have been resolved." So she's like, "Hey, I'll explain it later. But all that matters, literally all that matters, is like, I am so glad you're here. I've always wanted you
And
to be here."
we are very lucky people.
Yes, yeah. And yeah, she's like, literally the only thing you need to worry about from now on is being pretty. So you're worried about being pretty now?
Yeah.
That's all you have to
'Cause,
do ever again.
There you
Uncle
go.
Henry's like, "I don't think we'll make very bang up fairies," and she's like, "Don't worry about it."
Yeah, she's like,
Don't
"You
worry.
don't fucking worry." Yeah, they're
Um,
because they're like, "We look fucking awful."
But like she tells them like all you have to do is sit around and look pretty. At the same time, both Aunt Em and Uncle Henry are like, "You sure?" And Dorothy's like, "Yes, I'm sure. You're in the fairyland of Oz, but more than that, you belong to it."
Damn.
And that is the end of chapter 5. How Dorothy became a princess. And Blake, what would you call that?
I didn't try to get too creative. I just called that "Welcome to Oz."
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Chapter 6. How Guff visited the Whimsies.
So it's really just a back and forth, back and forth.
Oh,
It's
you're gonna get the whiplash. Yeah.
Very back and forth. Like it's like when the previous chapter ends, everyone just freezes in place, and then we come back to them. But as you would have guessed, based on the title of that chapter, we are back with General Guff. He's on his way to see the Whimsies. He understands that failure of his mission will mean certain death.
He'll be killed.
He doesn't care.
He's not that worried about it.
He seems pretty confident.
Well, the thing is, he hates happiness. He hates goodness. He wants to destroy the land of Oz. They're happy. They're good. He's going to succeed.
Yeah, and he has a plan. And he's like, "Oh yeah, like the only reason people fail is because they're careless and they should be planning, and I have a plan."
Which
So
is
I'm gonna
why, like,
make it.
in the last chapters that we covered, like when he told Roquat the Red, he was like, "Hey, you are too brash. You are too, like, impulsive. Listen to everything I say, and we will not lose this battle." He's trying to be the level-headed one.
Yeah.
I don't know if I necessarily agree that he is that guy, but he's doing a good enough job of pretending to be that guy, even so. I
Yeah,
guess.
fine so far. He has good ideas.
Yeah.
And the Gnome King has a good idea too. Because to recap, his plan, his castle under the mountain, is at the very, very edge of the Deadly Desert. So all he
Right.
has to do is tunnel under it to get to the Emerald City. Like, that's it. And he wants to go right to the Emerald City. He doesn't want to
Yeah.
come out in the land of the Winkies and who will send the alarm, and then it'll be impossible to break into the Emerald City.
Right.
He's like, we're going all the way into the middle of Oz. We are going to tunnel there and come up under the Emerald City.
Because directly across the desert is the land of the Winkies.
yes,
So we're
exactly.
going beyond.
Yeah, we're going right to the west.
So the Gnome
East.
King assigns 1,000 miners to dig out the tunnel, and they build it high, they build it wide, so that the army and all of the allies that they're trying to get can march through it.
And they're digging fast.
I mean, they're
they're
professional
going.
diggers.
Yeah.
The gnomes are miners.
Yes.
You know, so like it's coming together very quickly.
Yeah. And as all this,
Scary.
it is scary, and because they're really chopping away. I mean, they're getting into the under the desert.
How have they not thought of this before? I guess
I know.
nobody in Oz ever stole anything from them, but it's just like they seem like they would want to start a war. You know, like,
Given what we will learn, they seem violent.
Well, it seemed like there were also maybe like I wonder if the Gnome King wanted to fuck with the witches. Like I wonder if he was just like, I'm
Oh.
not going in this area because there's so many witches over here.
Honestly, with his magic belt, he probably could have fucked up the Wicked Witch of the West and the Wicked Witch of the East.
Yeah, the belt definitely seems a little invincible.
The belt is just the worst thing that's ever been introduced in the series because it has created a situation where nothing can defeat it.
There's
Like,
a lot of
nothing.
power
You know
there.
what? It's interesting because we've come into contact with a lot of magical items, but the only one that has had rules has been the turban that controls the winged monkeys.
Oh yeah.
Everything else has just been powerful and magical. We don't know what it does.
There's not like limit.
So, like,
or yeah, there's
the
no
ruby
limit.
slippers must be less powerful than the magic belt based on where we are in this
Yeah.
book. But like I assume that they're just both all powerful magical things.
It's hard to understand because like the magical belt seems to be able to do literally anything. Dorothy put it on and then turned two gnomes into eggs. 3
Several
books ago.
gnomes, yeah.
Yeah, like it's like it doesn't even make sense. But while all this is happening in the Gnome King's castle or whatever, Guff, General Guff, he's making his way to the chief of the Whimsies.
He is on his way to the Whimsies, who are a strange and curious people. They live out in the middle of nowhere by themselves.
They live in their own land of the Whimsies. if you will.
They're so gross.
They're really big.
They
to
have
start.
they have these super large and strong bodies. But if you saw a Whimsy as it was, you would see this huge, strong body, like maybe like a gorilla, Wyatt? Is it?
Well, it's like taller. Taller than a gorilla because gorillas are kind of short.
So like huge.
But like man size, but with like gorilla size muscles.
But they have these weird, teeny weeny voodoo heads.
They're not very smart. Like they're ashamed of it all. And so, you know what they would do, of course.
So okay, can we talk about this for a second?
No,
Because it said, well, we're going to. So it says that they have small heads, which means they have small brains. And then immediately it says they're shameful of their appearance. So if they're so fucking stupid, why would they be shameful of their appearance? That was only like the second emotion that Adam and Eve had after eating an apple. So like what took them so long? I don't get it. I don't understand how they can be like dumb like bugs and then also feel ashamed
Self-conscious.
of how they feel. Yeah, or of how they look.
they seem to be smarter than
Maybe
like,
that's what's dumb about it.
bugs. I do think
It's
that's
stupid.
I
It
think
sure
there's a
is
layer of
stupid.
that. But like as we'll see, they have buildings, they have crafts that they do and art. Like they do things. So it's like they're just like really dumb people. They're the equivalent of really dumb people,
So-
apparently.
And actually, Hannah, to give you a full impression, we talked about how they're ashamed of their appearance, but we didn't talk about what they do to help their egos with
yeah,
that.
because they have a plan for that.
Go for it, Wyatt.
They wear big, giant plaster heads. They have a paper fucking mache head on top of their tiny doorknob head.
Okay.
And it has sheep's wool sewn into the hair, and the sheep's wool, or as hair, I mean. And the wool is dyed, and their favorite colors are lavender, pink, and green. And I don't know if anyone has seen the movie Fred.
Oh
which is
my
like an independent
god!
film,
Wait,
but like
Frank.
You're right. Yeah, Frank.
That's a good movie.
It is a good movie. I'd highly
Oh,
recommend
I
it.
have the musician.
Yeah.
Yes.
He has
Yeah.
a paper mache head.
Yeah.
It's very that.
The faces on these paper mache heads are painted in all kinds of ridiculous ways. According to the owner, you can just paint whatever face you want, which is apparently better than having
original
a tiny
makeup
head.
guru.
Yeah. So the Whimsies look so whimsical and so absurd in these masks that they wear that they're called Whimsies, which I'm a little confused by because they live out in the middle of nowhere where nobody can find them, but apparently they are called Whimsies by the others.
Yeah, I don't know who the others are, but the chief of the
Giving
Whimsy.
Lost vibes.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, the others. But the chief of the Whimsies, like, he doesn't have anything special going on. Like, just no one in particular had a better reason to be the chief. Like, no one else was more fit, so he was like, yeah, like, that's me. I'm the chief of the Whimsies. And just as an important note, the Whimsies are, quote, evil spirits who cannot be killed.
Okay.
No unpacking of that. We're gonna move on past that. I'm not. This is the last you'll hear of it.
Seems a little
They're
That's just the
threatening.
truth, though.
They are hated. They are feared by everyone.
Yeah, terrible fighters, terrifying. They're super
Terrible
strong.
fighters in a good way.
Yeah, they'll never back down, even when they're defeated. So it's like you have to like fight them until they can't even stand, and then
It's
they'll
a
like
fight
fall
to the
down.
death.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but they can't die. So it's just a
General
fight till your death.
Guff. General Guff is like, well, these big dumb bodies, they might come in handy.
No. So he arrives at the house of the chief, which has a picture of a big grotesque head.
What is this, Foxville?
I know exactly. It's very Foxville. That's exactly what I thought. The chief has a big head. He has these big green eyes painted on. He has blue hair, a turned up nose, a grin that stretches halfway across his face, and there's just two little holes on his chin so his normal doorknob sized eyes can watch out of his paper mache mask.
Isn't that so weird?
Yeah, that's terrifying.
It's
Yeah,
so
I hate that.
creepy. So General Guff tells the Chief Whimsy that the gnomes plan to conquer Oz, take back the magic belt that was stolen from them, and they would like the Whimsy's help.
Yeah, and they want to destroy the land.
Yes.
And the Chief Whimsy is like, well, will there be fighting? And he's like, yes. Then the Chief Whimsy dances around the room 3 times to celebrate that there will be fighting.
He must have liked that.
Yeah, he liked that. He liked that.
But then he sits down, he fixes his paper mache head because it got a little knocked around when he danced around the room 3 times.
Ew.
And
I don't like
He's
that. It just is
like-
able to.
Yeah.
yeah.
It goes to
Well, his
dum-
his head is not big enough to hold that mask in place.
Yeah.
So then he sits back down and he says something that I think is pretty rational. He says, "We have no quarrel with Ozma of Oz. Why would you start a war with someone you have no problem with?"
Well, Guff is just like, hey, like, you love to fight. It's a really good chance to do that. And the
Now,
Chief is like,
The Chief Whimsy is me in this moment,
Yeah.
frankly,
no.
because he's like, okay, we have no fight in this, but it'll be fun to fight. Wait till I sing a song.
So then he sings a foolish song, and Guff tries to see, like, he's like listening really hard. He's like, okay, is there a meaning to this?
Like, what is it? Yeah.
Is this song something he's playing really close
Making
attention?
up a song.
Nope. Yeah, there's nothing. There's nothing there. He's like, oh, nope, those words don't mean anything. But then the chief asks a really good question, which is, what is the reward if we help you?
Now, Guff is prepared for this question because People will usually do a good deed for free, but for an evil deed, they typically demand payment.
It's gonna cost some money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Guff tells him, hey, once we get the magic belt back, Broquat the Red will use it to give every Whimsy a head as big as the fake ones they wear. So basically, the head that this guy, this Chief Whimsy, is wearing right now will become his permanent real head.
Oh.
They'd like that, right?
The chief loves
match,
that.
It'll
Whoa,
match
whoa,
their
whoa,
bodies.
whoa.
Yeah, that's one of their big things.
He's immediately like, I'll talk to my people.
Yeah, I'll
Yeah.
figure some stuff out.
Yeah.
Let me turn some things around. Let me clear up the schedule.
So the Chief Whimsy calls a meeting with his people. Quickly after learning the terms of the deal, they're like, yeah, we'll help.
Yeah, they're
Let's
like,
do
we
it."
get to fight and get good heads. Yeah, we're
God.
done.
If I can fight and get good head, I will do it.
Yeah. But one Whimsy has a little bit of common sense, and he's like, hey, okay, what if they fail and they don't get the magic belt? Then we couldn't get our heads. Like, then what do we get? Like,
So-
if we fight and they don't win, we get nothing.
Then we're screwed, and
So-
it's not even our battle.
In
Yeah.
response, the other Whimsies throw him into the river and laugh and laugh and laugh because his paper mache head was destroyed by the water.
Yeah. But Guff is feeling good.
The deal's done.
Yeah, he's like, okay, cool. We got these guys. They're fucking crazy Whimsies. But guess what? We've got some other allies we need to acquire. So he's gonna be on the trail.
He's just busy.
He is. And that is how we end chapter 6, how Guff visited the Whimsies. And Blake, what would you call that?
Guff finds a whimsical ally.
Chapter 7, how Aunt M conquered the lion. Yeah.
So
So we're flashing back again.
yeah, we're
Emerald
like,
City.
Dorothy, M, and Hen froze in place, and now we're back.
Yeah.
Dorothy shows Aunt M and Uncle Henry to their rooms. Aunt M, okay, this is funny. Aunt M drew back at the sight of the splendid furniture and draperies. So earlier, I talked my shit about how like, oh, what, they're gonna be scared of furniture, Dorothy. Turns out Aunt M actually is scared of furniture because she went, oh, when she saw fancy furniture.
And the thing is, she's like, hey, is there somewhere I can wipe my feet? Because she's wearing these slippers that are probably fucking filthy. And everything in there is so beautiful. And she just doesn't want to destroy
Dorothy's
anything.
like, dude, this is your house. Go inside.
Yeah. She's
You
like,
will get new shoes.
yeah, you live here now. You don't have to worry about, like, you don't have to worry about keeping it clean because
Yeah.
there's a maid. But also, like, you're the only one who comes in here.
Yeah.
No one else is coming here.
Yeah, what a turnaround in a world.
Yeah. And Aunt
Ugh.
M is just like, she goes in and she is just astounded by the beauty. It's
She says,
beautiful.
it beats the Topeka Hotel.
Where she went once.
Topeka?
Yeah, Topeka, Kansas.
That is a Kansas town.
She must have been to the city once, I guess.
I guess
a busy
so.
girl.
Back on their honeymoon.
Yeah. But it's too much. Aunt Em is literally like,
Yeah.
hey, is there like an attic space we could move into? Because, like, that's really more our class.
Dorothy is like, no. Ozma says this is your room. This is your room. Also, like any rooms we have in this palace, they're either just as nice as this
Yeah.
or nicer. So like,
Everything's this nice.
just suck it up. You're royalty now. Stop freaking out. You're wasting my time. Did you know that down there there's
I thought she
pork
was
belly?
gonna be nice.
No, I mean, I've kind of gone off on a tangent, but ultimately, she does say like, you live here now.
this is the
This is-
reality.
This is what you have.
yeah.
Deal with it. Suck it up.
And Aunt Em is like, all right, like, I guess whatever you say, like, anyone can get used to anything.
Do you
like,
have Henry's exact quote to this?
Well, what I have is that Henry, in a strange and thick accent, says that he's done some traveling in his time and that it's better to just take what you're granted and not ask any questions. So Dorothy just tours into the room. There's this big sitting room. It looks over the rose garden. There's 2 separate sleeping chambers with a bathroom in between. So it's verified they sleep in separate beds.
Then Dorothy shows them M's beautiful dressing room full of pretty costumes, which the royal dressmakers were up all night preparing. Where they got M's proportions is beyond me.
All Ozma had to do last night when she found that out was to zoom in on the tag on M's dresses in her closet.
She could have broken
which she can do
into
at any
Dorothy's
time.
house, taken a dress back.
Oh, yeah. You know what? She probably used the magic belt to have the exact dress dimensions teleported onto her fucking
Magic
piece of
belt did
paper.
it.
Yeah,
Magic belt
magic
did
belt.
it. Yep.
So anyway, that makes sense. And also, Uncle Henry had 9 suits that were all beautiful. They were cut in the popular Munchkin fashion.
That's unfortunate for him.
Yeah, because it has
What is it, like a capri on him?
Well, it's knee breeches, silk stockings, and jeweled buckled shoes.
And then also like a witch's hat,
Yeah, a
like,
pointed
or like
hat.
a wizard's hat with a point and a wide brim,
And
then bells dangle.
gold
He's like,
bells.
this is my life now.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Honestly, Uncle Henry's taken everything pretty well. He's like, all right,
Okay.
I'm gonna take a bath and then I'm gonna change into one of my new
Yeah.
suits.
Because like he said, like, take what's given to you. Don't ask questions. That's his philosophy. He's like, hey, I'm just taking it in because, like, it's all good. Like, great.
On M.
Is losing it. She's losing it.
What's her wardrobe?
So,
Hers is pretty. Like hers is just dresses and gowns.
Okay.
of every sort and size.
Uncle
like,
Henry
it-
has more
like,
weird shit to get used to. She just can't get used to the opulence.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Yeah.
I guess-
Which, like, honestly, I'm like, are you like begging for attention right now? You're like, no, I couldn't possibly unless I look good. Do I look good?
She's
yeah,
not
it's
doing
girl,
that.
Just slay,
Mhm.
work,
No way.
do the
No.
thing.
Cut to Aunt M being so unable to get herself ready that Jalea Jam, Dorothy, and 2
Oh my
other
God.
maids
And
are
a
like-
housekeeper.
and a housekeeper.
It's 5
like,
people.
I'm sorry, I just love
pinning-
that crossover.
They're just like
Yeah.
Jalea. They're just like pinning her down, brushing her hair,
Oh my God.
washing her body, putting her makeup on.
And the thing
she's
is
just
she
like,
fighting?
I can
No,
only
she's not fighting.
I can
Okay.
only imagine actually that she's like, like it just seems like she.
I would kind of
does-
like
she
it if she
will
did
not.
that.
I don't know. My impression is that it's not like she's fighting them like an animal. She's like, oh, what's that? Like, what are you doing? Like, oh my God. Like, I mean, imagine like, I don't know. Like, I'm imagining them like curling her eyelashes and her being like, oh my
What's
God.
that machinery?
Exactly.
It does
yeah.
not take 5 people to listen to a person be obnoxious. It does take 5 people to pin a person down and force them to do something bad.
That's true.
I guess you're right. They must be just.
It's gotta be.
forcing
It's gotta seem a little
Regardless.
intense.
On him, she's all of a flutter. She's been rigged like a Poppin' J.
What does that mean?
Popping a J. Y'all
Do
never
not-
popped a J
I
before.
don't know what a Poppin' J.
Why did you say it? then?
Because she said it. On him said, y'all rigged me like a Poppin' J. And
Y'all rigged.
trailer. And she didn't realize she would be putting on airs at her age like this.
Henry had resolved to take a bath and then put on the blue satin suit. So he's already like has his little plan. He's like, I know what I'm gonna fucking do. And then everyone's ready and they come out and they find him and he's just walking around pacing in his blue suit with his little hat.
With
I
the
don't know why he's
bells.
pacing, honestly.
He's pacing because he feels like he looks like a fruit.
True.
And I'm allowed to say that. But frankly, Dorothy, when she sees him, she's like, he looks great. He looks cleaned up. But Uncle Henry's like, say, Dorothy, do all the men in this place dress like this? And Dorothy's like, oh, yeah.
Mm, everyone who's not a machine or the Scarecrow or the Tin Woodman or the Shaggy Man, which is an exhaustive
actually
list.
a lot of
But
people.
Yeah, I was like, you just named 10 people.
It's everyone we know.
but it's also just not real people other than the Shaggy Man.
Yeah.
Well, there's
But-
a lot of people in the Emerald City, so.
Yeah. But then on M, there's
Yeah,
fucking
we know
6,000
exactly.
buildings
We
or
know
whatever.
exactly how many people are in
Exactly.
Emerald City. I won't
But
go into
on
it.
M comes out. She looks like $1 million. Henry looks like $1 million, except Munchkinified. Which, frankly, I'm like, give the men suits. The women just get to go to Oz and wear what they would wear anyway.
Exactly.
And the men go to Oz and they
They
have
have to be
dress.
munchkins.
So, frankly, like on M says, Henry, you look like a play actor.
Is she turned on?
Well, not really.
Yeah,
She's
this is a
still
children's
she's still a
book.
little stressed out, and it's a children's book as well, and it's a family show. But Uncle Henry tells her that she looks more highfalutin than a peacock.
And on
Ac-
M,
actually, maybe they are both a little turned on.
no, they're not.
It seems like they're both just like saying
Henry's
like,
at least got to be, right?
in the writing. It was like on M said, "Henry, you look like a play actor." She said in a critical voice, like, and then
It did say that.
yeah. So he's like insulting her back, and then she looks down and she's like, "Yeah, I do look like a fucking peacock, and actually, like, we're just the helpless victims of this like royal show.
I'm actually
So we just have to do it."
I'm gonna decide that this is an episode of Pleasantville, and they noticed each other for the first time.
An episode?
Well, because the movie is about a TV show.
I get it.
So Dorothy takes Aunt Em and Uncle Henry on a tour of the palace.
They see many people. They
Yeah.
see many. She
They-
shows them her rooms.
They get introduced.
Well,
to
did they officially meet like the tiger and like the lion?
So
and
we
stuff?
don't learn about that, but I'm going to
Mhm.
say no because of something that happens later.
Yeah.
Okay.
But on their tour, like Aunt Em is just like, I cannot believe what you were saying was true this whole time. It's so crazy. Like, where are all the strange creatures that you said you knew? And Uncle Henry's like, yeah, where the scarecrow is.
He also asks, "Where's the wizard?" Oh, well, he's going to be at lunch because they're already planning on going to lunch, right? It's like, okay, well, what about Jack Pumpkinhead?
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, he lives outside of town. He owns a pumpkin field.
So she's paying
she's-
attention.
She's like,
Yeah.
here's the thing. You will learn Jack Pumpkinhead when you meet him. He's not here right now. As well as, she's like, let's end this conversation.
It's just a roll call.
Like,
yeah.
stop
Oh,
listing
the
names.
Wogglebug, the Shaggy Man.
Don't name
TikTok,
drop me
like,
right now.
You will meet everyone when
Yeah.
you meet them. Right now, you're standing here with
Yeah.
me.
And actually, we're about to go see Bellina. So let's go. Let's
Yes.
go.
Well, doesn't she knows Belina technically?
Well, no, because they're not from
no,
the same farm.
no, because in
Oh,
the
it was
book,
on
the
Return
ship.
to Oz.
Yeah.
That fucked me
In
up.
Return to
yeah.
Oz, they
Yeah.
owned Bellina.
That's
but yeah.
right.
I thought the same thing when I was reading it though, and I was like, "Oh, they're gonna be like reunited," but no, they don't know her. But they walk up to Bellina's house in the backyard, and Bellina's on her porch, like,
She is sunning herself. She's loving it. And she jumps down and she's like, "Oh my God, like, I'm so glad to see you. Like, I kind of figured you'd come by today because, like, I knew you were here now." And Dorothy's like, "Yeah. And actually, we're here to stay."
womp 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 womp.
Yeah. And
Oh.
Bellina is ecstatic. she's
She
like,
is,
and
okay.
she's like, "You're all so lucky. There's literally no other place to
Yeah.
stay. Like,
But she's like,
you're so lucky."
she's like, "Come on in and meet all my Dorothy's," and she's like, "Well, actually,
Asterix. There's a little
yeah,
star
there's
next
an
to that.
asterisk because she has 9 Dorothy's now."
Okay.
Okay.
And the qualifier that's about to go on this is crazy because 9 Dorothys are, number 1, still living,
Right.
and number 2, grown into beautiful young hens.
So her children that we met in the last book, grown adults now.
Yeah.
They're full-grown hens with their own children.
And
Oh,
only some
how
of them are
long-
living, and only some of them are hens.
Probably after like 4 to 8 months would a chicken start laying eggs.
My parents got
Okay.
chicks, and 4 months later, they were fully grown, laying
Yeah.
eggs.
Oh,
They're-
okay,
so-
so it's pretty.
and those are
quick.
the new ones because the other ones were like 9 months or something. Like they were like,
Oh, there's a difference. Yeah, you're
yeah,
right.
they had to get pretty old. But we'll have your mom as a guest sometime.
Ask about the chickens.
Yeah. But so now she has grown children, 9 Dorothys. She has one who got sick at Ozma's birthday party.
Caught a
It was
cold at Ozma's birthday.
It was a super spreader event
And this chick died
Oh.
of the pip.
of the pip, whatever that means.
Of
I
the pip.
tried to Google it.
Yeah, I couldn't really get a clear answer. I
Nothing.
tried Googling it too.
Interesting.
So, yeah.
I kept finding some South Park character called Pip who died.
Oh. Rip
But then,
Pip.
so 9 Dorothys, 1 dead, and then 2 who turned out to be roosters.
So they had to change their names.
Couldn't be Dorothys as roosters.
No.
They changed them to Daniel.
Oh.
And Belena's like, so now the D on all of their lockets stands for Dorothy and also Daniel.
May I?
Make it easy.
May I?
Yeah,
May I?
you may.
When we met Belena, her name was Bill. And Dorothy said, well, your name couldn't possibly be Bill. You're a hen. That's a boy's name. And Belena was like, oh, I don't really care. The name is meaningless to me. Why couldn't her roosters be Dorothy's?
That's true. Well, she did have to send them
It's-
away because they were so boy.
Yes, roosters are
Yeah, and
violent.
maybe maybe Belena's opinion is different than Dorothy's.
But that was what Belena said. Belena's name was Bill, and she didn't care. I guess
That's
she's.
true.
It's honestly, if anything, I guess she's forming herself after Dorothy.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
Um,
like, I guess she's changed her mind, and then she's
The-
emulating.
So Belena tells them that she named the roosters Daniel, and Uncle Henry, he's kind of catching up, and he's like, "You named both the roosters Daniel?" And Belena's like, "Yeah, I've got 9 Dorothys, I've got 2 Daniels." The 9 Dorothys have 86 sons and daughters,
And over 300 grandchildren.
over 300
Oh my
grandchildren.
god.
which-
So
means that-
Belena's children have 300 grandchildren.
Belena has 386 grand
Great-
/ great grandchildren.
Yeah, exactly.
Who is taking care of them?
Fucking Emerald
Their
City
parents.
taxes.
The
They're
tax-
there.
The taxpayers.
Because so Dorothy, real quick, is like, what are the rest of the chickens' names? And Belena's like, they're all Dorothys or Daniels. I don't know what to tell you. Some are juniors, some are double juniors. It's either Dorothy
Yeah.
or it's Daniel.
Yeah, because those are good
Um,
names. There's no reason to go hunting around for better names.
It's funny
is what she
because
says.
there must be multiple
guess so, yeah.
Daniel Juniors and Daniel Juniors,
Yeah.
and vice versa with the Dorothys. But still, that is just funny. But it makes sense. They're fine, honestly, Hannah. The chickens are thriving.
Yeah.
They're doing great. Their numbers are growing every day.
Their numbers.
Literally.
Maybe they'll have a little
Yeah.
army.
No one eats eggs anymore.
Yeah. She's like, oh, we have. She's like, we have so many fucking
No one
people in
eats
my
eggs.
family, and she was like, Ozma doesn't even know what to do with the eggs. Like, there's like, they're like everyone's being taken care of. We're never harmed or eaten. So like, there's just we're multiplying.
And Belena is the queen and governor of every chicken in Oz. Like, not just the Emerald City, but the country of Oz.
Are there
So,
other chickens?
There's not.
I think it's just her family.
I said they made that up.
But
Yeah.
she's overwhelmed. She's overwhelmed. But then she's like, "Hey, do you guys want to come in?" I honestly feel like she's like this grandmother who's like, just like remind me of the glory days, because she's like, "Do you guys want to come inside and like look at my pearl necklace and all my jewelry?"
Yeah.
And Aunt Em and Dorothy and Uncle Henry are like, "Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
like let's go inside and look at your jewelry."
I guess that's what we're doing.
She shows them. She's like, these are all my things. They go to the back of the house and they meet 9 Dorothys and 2 Daniels. They're all very polite and very sweet, and they're all very well educated.
Then they go into the back to meet all of
Oh my
Belena's
God.
grandchildren and great grandchildren
They're
There
all there.
are so many of
300, 500 chickens.
of varying ages. There's a teacher hen who's like 22 in people years, because it said she was like a young hen. But she wears glasses and she's teaching them grammar and
Aw.
manners.
Yeah,
Um,
it's cute.
Yeah, dude.
And then-
And then they sing a
Oof.
patriotic song
Oh.
to welcome Aunt Em and Uncle Henry and
yeah,
Dorothy.
it got like real Third Reich for a second. I feel
I didn't really
because
get
it was
that.
just like, oh, guests.
I
sing
mean-
them the national anthem.
This was before, so I guess this is really the Third Reich got
This is the Second Reich.
the Emerald City of Oz.
All in all, Aunt Em and Uncle Henry, they're very impressed with these chicks. They think they're amazing. Dorothy wants to stay and play with the chicks, so instead of finishing the tour that she forced her traumatized parents into going on, she said, "Oh, you guys just walk around the grounds, and I'm going to stay here and play with the chicks, and then just find your way back through an entire
Yeah.
palace into your room, and then I'll find you there later
No,
before dinner."
It's just,
It's insane.
if I threw my parents into any place that they're just not familiar with, it's like they have a routine. They have
Yes.
things that they do in their day. And now you've taken them away from that and then been like, okay, go do whatever you want to do now.
And she should be.
And it's
she-
like, what do I want to do? I've been
Yeah.
taking care of this goddamn farm my entire life. I know
Yes.
nothing else.
and she should be excited to show the Emerald City
Honestly.
to her family.
She has chicks at
'Cause
home.
Also,
she
it
lives here
shows-
now. Wow.
And it shows just like, bitch, I've been telling the truth the whole time. Let me show you every single detail of this place that
Yeah.
I've told you about.
I'd be like, you haven't met the Tin Woodman, the Scarecrow. Like, those are the most important parts.
You're
I'd be like,
gonna meet
we're
him.
actually gonna go see them now. You're
We'll
gonna
figure
fucking
it
look at them.
out.
I can't believe her behavior here, but honestly, Ozma's been stressing me out. Dorothy's been stressing me out. I feel like L. Frank Baum is like
there's a lot of tension in the
starting
air.
over, and he's making people different. I don't know, but
Insanely though, Aunt Em and Uncle Henry just go off alone.
well, I mean, the palace is surrounded by the palace walls. They're not going to get lost.
And it's not like they're gonna run into like a giant
They're gonna
monster.
They're going to stay on the grounds, and then
It's
they're going to
true.
bump into somebody and go, "Hi, we're Aunt Em and Uncle Henry. Can you show us where we live?"
Yeah.
And then they'll be taken. They're not even just lost in the Emerald City. They are on the palace grounds.
that just.
But they
you know,
also they feel weird because they're like, whoa,
They
like
feel very weird.
we're fucking
But
poor country people,
I would
and we
say
never thought we'd be able to do.
They're
this.
warming
Yeah.
up to it, though. They're definitely warming up to it. They're enjoying themselves. Like, they're having fun together, which is really
Yeah.
sweet.
Well, they
um,
seem more chill than honestly I thought they would be.
yeah.
Yeah.
That
But
they'd freak
then-
out a little more.
Aunt Em's like been a little bit like, what the hell? But Henry's been pretty chill, and like
Mhm.
ultimately they've both been pretty chill. But then they turn this corner and they see this lion sitting there, and he's surprised by them, they're surprised by him, and Aunt Em goes, "Save me, Henry! Save me! Save me, Henry!"
Girl.
Yeah. And Henry's like,
Nothing's happening to you.
well,
Let's be real. Nothing's happening yet. Let's chill.
yeah. But he's the lion, this huge ass lion, sees them, and Henry's like, I don't even think I can save myself. That
We need a
thing-
gun,
Yeah, he's
woman.
like, that thing could eat me and
Where's
it
my
could eat
goddamn
you."
gun?
Well, yeah. He's like, I wish I had one. And she's like, haven't you? Haven't you got a gun with you? And he's like,
I
nary
didn't get
a gun.
a chance to pack.
Yeah, seriously, yeah. He's like, no, I don't have a fucking gun, but like, let's just die brave and graceful. Like, I knew it was too lucky to be true.
Wow.
Like, our luck was gonna run out.
That is Dorothy Gale's family. They're like, I guess we'll just die with a smile
Yeah.
on our
Oh my
face.
God, that is.
Seriously.
They accept their fate so easily.
Aunt Em, on the other hand, though, like Uncle Henry must be her mom's brother or something, because Aunt Em is not blood related. Because she is like, I am not going to be eaten by a lion. But fortunately, she has heard that savage beasts can be conquered by the human eye. So she's just going to have a stare down with the lion to save their lives. Uncle Henry's like, go for it. Yeah, that sounds good. Yeah, look at him the way you look at me when I'm late for dinner.
And yeah,
I
but
thought I thought
yeah.
it was a serious moment.
It kind of is though, because Aunt Em
Oh my
is
God.
like,
He's like,
yeah, it's her dilated eye. She stares. She has she's staring. She glares at the lion, and the lion begins to visibly look like uneasy and disturbed, which I'm like, yeah, you're sitting in the garden where you live, and some old woman starts staring at you like really pointedly. That's kind of scary.
yeah. So the lion starts to get pretty uncomfortable, and he's like, is something wrong, ma'am?
And then they scream. They're like, what the
They're
fuck?
like, that thing talks.
But-
It's like, come on.
Yeah, at this point, suddenly, Henry is like, oh, Dorothy told us about a lion.
Isn't that the one we saw in Ozma's throne room?
Yeah, he's like, we literally saw this beast. Like,
So
hold on.
Onm's like, Lion, are you a friend of Dorothy's? The Cowardly Lion is like, dude, me and Dorothy, we go way back. We're very fond of each other. Me and the Hungry Tiger are actually Ozma's bodyguards.
And then they have a little discussion, which is stupid, about how like, oh well, you're king of the forest, but you're the Cowardly Lion. You're scared, and it just like goes like
Yeah.
in a weird place.
The Cowardly Lion is like, oh, you're saying I am a lion and I'm cowardly? Yeah, no, don't worry. I've heard that before. Let's skip this
Good
part.
one.
But
Yeah.
M does ask, she's like, so were you really afraid of my gaze? And he's like, oh, I was terribly scared. Like, I thought that you were going to have a fit, but then I saw your eyes and you were just making me shake with fear. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like,
No.
Yeah,
That
he
was
was
it?
like, you were so scary that I almost ripped you both to shreds just so that I wouldn't have to be under your horrible gaze anymore.
yeah.
Like, it's like
No.
point lion.
That's
Threatening.
scary.
Yeah, literally, yeah.
You
So
sure
whatever
are
you just
scary.
did now is
Yeah,
scary.
I'm still a fucking lion. But Uncle Henry is very quickly like, okay, well, have a good morning, Mr. Lion. We'll see you around. And the lion's like, yeah, if you're going to live in the Emerald City, you're going to see me around all
Be
the
around,
time.
honey.
Which, frankly, like, they basically walked up to him, insulted him, and then he stood up for himself. So
Yeah.
I'm not mad.
No.
No.
I'm not either.
Yeah.
And that is the sentiment we're going to leave. Chapter 7, How Aunt M Conquered the Lion. And Blake, what would you call that? I know.
A roaring start in Oz.
Chapter 8, How the Grand Gallipoot Joined the Gnomes.
So after leaving the Whimsies, Guff sets out toward the northwest to visit the country of the Growlywogs.
Growly walks.
Wogs.
Growly Wogs.
Growly walks. Okay.
Yeah.
There's a lot of like Gwally woo, Gwalla wah, Gwally
Gwally
woo,
who?
Gallipoot.
Gwally me.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Yeah, to get to the Growlywogs, Guff. I was trying to say Gump.
There's a lot happening.
Guff has to cross the Ripple Land, which is a very difficult thing to do.
Okay.
It's crazy. So this land, it's a bunch of big mountains and hills and
Is it
valleys.
in Oz?
Well, no, it's in a fairyland.
Well, it's like outside of Ev, I guess.
Yeah, it's between Ev and
Like, how far has
The Land of
Guff
Whimsies.
gone? Is this all a day for him? Because it's all been a day for Dorothy.
I don't know. It must be, yeah. It must be a day's journey. And the Ripple Land it has big mountains and hills and then low valleys and like it's just a bunch of them. So it's like a ripple like that, but then also the land ripples. So you'll be like on the top of a mountain, but the land under you like moves down to the bottom of the ripple, so it's like you're in a valley. So it's like you're walking across a rippling water, and it's hard to do. Essentially, it's actually hard to explain, even though I read it.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like constantly like moving like a sheet that's being flapped.
It's like a wave
And
pool.
It's
Yeah,
very easy
But you're
to
walking.
It's very easy to lose your way if you're walking
Yeah.
up and down and up and down and up and down like that.
I hate that.
When you think you're walking in a straight line. So, but he just resolves to stay the course, keep walking, don't get distracted, and it pays off for him. He makes it to the other end of the Ripple Land and passes through a dense forest, and finally he makes it to the dominion of the Growlywogs.
And the first thing that happens is two guards snatch him up.
Yep, he
And
is
they-
seized immediately. The
Yeah,
Growlywogs
yes.
are not fucking around. Guff is taken before the Grand Gallipoot of the Growlywogs. Laugh about it.
Sorry.
It's a bad name.
Guff is taken by the two guards to go to the Grand Gallipoot of the Growlywogs.
Okay,
Jeez, that's
ready?
not a real
Ready?
sentence.
3 times fast. Guff is taken to the Grand Gallipoot of the Grand Gallipoot of the Ba. Guff is taken to the Grand Gallipoot of the Grand Gallipoot.
Graphics controlled with the pot with the key.
But the Grand Gallipoot is like, why have you dared intrude into our territory? Guff is like, I'm the High General of the Invincible Army of the Gnomes, and my name makes the world tremble when it's said.
And the Growlywogs laugh at him so harshly, and then they also toss him really high in the air.
Just launch him
Yeah.
into the
And then he
air.
falls right on the ground and like
Yeah.
breaks his shoulder.
Oh my
Pretty,
god.
he's like not
Yeah, he's
happy.
acting cool, but he's
pretty
not
scared.
But
cool.
he's in a lot of
He's
pain.
scared. He's
Yeah.
scared.
And he's like, okay, well, King Roquat sent me to ask for your assistance in conquering the wonderful land of Oz. And the Gallipoot, the Grand Gallipoot, is like, go on.
Yeah. His voice, by the way, it's like a roar and a growl, and he mumbles.
And like,
So
why?
so when he said go on, it was like I don't even know. Like how
I
could
imagine me like,
the Growlywogs, here's how they look. They're huge.
they're gigantic.
They have this really tight skin on these really big muscles. So they look like disgusting.
Yeah. No meats, no fats, just muscle, skin, and bone. It's bad.
Eesh.
The weakest Growlywog could pick up a full-grown elephant and throw it 7 miles away.
Oh my god.
They're-
Which I was gonna make a trivia question about that, but I was like, I'm not gonna be able to
Such
get it. It's just
nonsense.
insane.
Nobody likes the Growlywogs. They're savage. They're mean. And so the Growlywogs have kind of devoted their lives to just hating everyone, including gnomes.
Yeah. They hate all the people.
Um,
And Guff was like, I'm just gonna win him over. It's gonna be easy. Like, he's like, hey, the land of Oz is ruled by this mamby-pamby girl, quote, namby-pamby, she's kind and she's good. Everyone's happy there.
Is
Like,
that what they
don't-
use? Mamby-pamby?
Namby-pamby.
Was
This
it like Momby-Ompy?
namby-pamby girl.
oh,
I think it's supposed to be like wussy, honestly.
Oh.
yeah.
You get a little namby-pamby Nurse Nancy.
Nurse Nancy. No. But he's like, yeah, like, she's terrible. Like, don't you hate that? And he's like, rah, rah. He says, he says, go on.
That's translate.
Guff tells the Growlywogs, he's like, okay, Ozma, Dorothy, and Bellina, they came, they liberated the slaves that we took, who were the royal family of Ev. They stole Roquat's magic belt, and we want... Oh, actually, at this point, the Gallipoot says,
Translation, please.
go on.
Oh.
Still that. But Guff tells the Grand Gallipoot that the Growlywogs are the strongest people in all the world, and that the gnomes could really use their help to conquer the Emerald City. I'm sorry.
He's trying to talk like them.
So in return, Guff promises them 10,000 Ozites to be their slaves.
And the Grand Goli Grab is like, which means 20,000.
Oh, okay.
And then
Double
Guff
it.
is like, okay, fine. We'll promise you 20,000 slaves, which is insane.
So the Gallipoot makes a hand signal.
And what do you think would be happening, Hannah? What do you think is about to happen to Guff after all of this?
After all the information,
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like he'd be getting fucking smacked like 7 miles.
Yeah, that's a good guess, really.
He could probably throw him farther than 7 miles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's not as big
8,
as an
even the
elephant.
weakest, yeah.
So Gallipoot makes a hand signal. The Growlywogs all come in, pick up General Guff and carry him to prison.
Oh, okay.
Right to prison. And what his jailer is doing is sticking him with pins to amuse himself. He is sticking him with little needles just so that Guff goes, ouch! Oh,
Yeah.
wow,
He just
no!"
wants to watch his fat little body
Yeah, he
jump and
tortures
hear
him.
his,
Oh my
hear his little
God.
voice scream.
Yeah, he's doing
Now,
torture.
While
So these guys are like the worst.
they're they're just demons.
Yeah.
While this is happening, the Grand Gallipoot meets with the most important officials of the Growlywags. The Grand Gallipoot, he's like, hey, I think we should offer to help the gnomes, and then once we conquer Oz, we'll take our 20,000 slaves we were promised, and we'll take all the jewels and all the gold that we want.
Yeah, they're like, we're gonna steal it all, and the counselor's like, yeah, like let's do that, and let's also take the magic belt.
Another counselor is like, yeah, let's do that. Let's take the magic belt, and let's rob the Gnome King blind and take him as a slave too.
And the Grand Gallipoot is like,
So
yeah.
General Guff just like seemed to have started drama.
yeah, exactly, yeah.
Oopsie. Oopsie.
Like, oh, you guys are this desperate?
Well, we'll take everything that you have
So
then.
you're saying I'm stronger than you. Good. The Grand Gallipoot, he loves this idea. He wants King Roquat to polish his boots. He wants King Roquat to serve him porridge and
Those two
Bad.
things
Oh my
specifically.
God.
Specifically, he names those. But then he's like, oh, yeah, I'm going to have the Gnome King be my slave. And then one of the counselors is like, oh, there's this famous scarecrow, and he's going to be my slave.
someone else is like,
Ooh, so they
dibs
get to
on.
pick and choose.
Yeah.
I guess so.
Someone else is like, dibs on the TikTok
Yeah.
man.
And
No.
another one is like, give me the Tin Woodman.
They
So
plan
they've
who's
planned
going to get what slaves and what treasure.
Yeah, they're doing all of this.
Yeah.
Meanwhile,
Well, I
or-
bet Uncle Henry and Aunt Em really wish they weren't in Oz right now.
right, they walked right
If
into
they
an
knew what
active
was
war
going on.
zone. Oh my god. And the Grand Gallipoot is like, okay, like, you know, the only reason we haven't destroyed Oz is because of the Deadly Desert. And since they're going to tunnel through, it's just going to give us the opportunity to do what we've always wanted to do. Like, that's great.
Yeah.
So, sure, tell Guff we'll do it.
So-
Let's tell Guff.
They agree to do it with their amendments, of course, but they're not going to tell anyone else about those amendments. They go off and eat dinner. Guff, still in prison.
And he's literally he assumes that he's being put to death.
Yeah, he's like,
He thinks he's gonna be
this didn't
killed."
work. I'm dead. But the jailer got bored of poking him with pins and needles, so now he's just ripping out his whiskers at the root.
Stop.
Yep, one by one.
by one.
He's doing
These
torture.
people are the worst.
He has made it a quarter of the way through, which, while that doesn't sound very close to all, it's a lot.
It's many.
It actually is.
So yeah, Guff is freaking out. Finally, the Grand Gallipoot sends for Guff, and the jailer tells the messenger, he's like, "Wait a few hours. I haven't even pulled out a quarter of his whiskers yet."
Yeah, he also begs, "Wait, let me keep going." And then he's like, "Oh, you can't tell the Grand Gallipoot what to do. He'll break your spine."
He will break your spine. Just give me the prisoner.
Yeah.
And the jailer's like, "Okay, just kick him with every step he takes. His body's so soft like a ripe peach. Just give him kicks for me." Like,
It's
he's
so gross.
That guy's
sick.
insane.
He's crazy.
That guy
I
needs to.
love it.
He needs to see someone.
Yeah, me. But Guff is taken to the Grand Gallipoot and told that they've decided to aid the gnomes in their conquest.
And whenever they send word, however that happens, they will send 18,000 of their best warriors to go fight in Oz.
Yeah. Now Guff is back on his way. He's like, I'm so excited. All that torture stuff, water under the bridge. I'm fine.
Yeah, he's like, cool.
That's what he tells
Because he
himself.
thought he was going to be put to death. He thought he was going to be killed. And now he's good.
Well, now he's daydreaming.
Yeah.
And he's like, if we win this battle, I might be more powerful than Roquat the Red. I mean, I'm friends with the Whimsies, and they're stronger than the gnomes. And I'm friends with the Growlywogs, and they're stronger than the Whimsies.
He's already scheming.
And I'm going to go get more allies.
Yeah.
I'm so power corrupts, absolutely, is
Yeah.
basically what's happening here.
He's going off.
It's like, actually, you're just an errand boy.
You're
Yeah,
an
I hope
you
errand
realize
boy.
They
That
sent
is a
you here because they
perfect-
thought you would die.
He just almost died in prison and
Yeah.
was like, I guess I'm out to.
If you want to
Yeah.
call that an ally, then sure.
Yeah, so he has all those friends. He's going off to get even more, is where he's headed. And that is the end of chapter 8, how the Grand Gallipoot joined the gnomes. And Blake, what would you call that?
I would call that gambling with the Growlywogs.
Thank you for listening to Oz Hour. Please join us next time as we continue with Chapter 9, How the Wogglebug Taught Athletics. Please rate, review, and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts, and follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Oz Hour Podcast. I fucked up. Let me start over. I'm just going to start from the beginning. Thank you for listening to Oz Hour. Please join us next time as we continue with Chapter 9, How the Wogglebug Taught Athletics. Please rate, review, and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts, and follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Oz Hour Podcasts for the latest on everything Oz. Oz Hour, created and hosted by Blake Stone and Wyatt Swingham, co-hosted by Hannah Aguirre, audio production by Charlie Johnson, theme music written and performed by Rudy Klobus, cover art by Valentin Lucas.